But I want to tell you what happened this week when I spoke to Arthur Laffer. I had Arthur Laffer on, and I asked him, I said, what concerns you the most, right? I said, tell me what you think about all this talk about inflation. You know, how prices are up, lumber went up, it's back down a little bit, all these things that we care about, gas, all this other stuff. Home prices for the first time, the median home prices just reached $350,000, page 7. That hasn't happened. This is a new record that we have. So inflation is in place. I said, Arthur, how concerned are you about inflation? He says, not at all. I said, why not? He says, because the leading indicator of inflation is gold, and gold hasn't moved. Gold's the same that it's been, so I don't think inflation is an issue. What do you think about the severity or the real issue of inflation? Is it real, or is it just, something that's going to come and go?
So, one of the worst areas has been freight, shipping costs, what have you. We've seen that begin to turn. That's huge. That's going to be huge for companies to have their supply delivery times start to come down. So that's one of your sources. We've obviously seen commodities turn. I mean, copper's down today. Every company's biggest cost item is labor. 65% of any company in this country is labor. If you have wage inflation, you've got a problem. And if you have true wage inflation, then you're going to see it in gold, just like he said. And we don't know what true wage inflation is or is not until we refill the labor pool. And we're not there yet. We've got 10 states coming off over the weekend, ending their federal unemployment benefits early. We had 2 blue states join in the band these last few days, Louisiana, Maryland, 2 Democratic states who crossed the line.
Louisiana would be considered a blue state? Why?
I'm talking about their governors.
Oh, gotcha. Governors.
Because the governor's got to sign it. The governor's got to agree. Your governor doesn't agree, you're dead in the
Got
water.
it. Okay.
So
blue states are starting to come on board saying, you're not just going to sit at home and collect checks anymore. Get your ass back to work.
Well, the chambers of commerce, the small business coalitions, everybody's like, we need these workers.
Yeah.
We absolutely need these workers. And so I think to Laffer's point, talk to me after Labor Day. Talk to me after September the 6th when these unemployment benefits finally exhaust themselves. President Biden himself has, miracle of all miracles, said he's not going to re-extend them. There are too many people who are like, this was a huge fiscal backfire. We didn't need to do this. So
the unemployment checks and all the multiple stimulus checks, you mean?
Yes. People are making double what they would have made.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking, look, I understand that everybody needs a workable living wage. I get skewered for this on Twitter. But I actually had somebody on my Twitter feed yesterday say, if we have to sacrifice U.S. small businesses, so be it.
What
and
does
I
that
was
mean?
like,
Who said that?
I was like, what? I'm like, look, if we because 39.8% of U.S. small businesses are still not open post-pandemic.
Wait, say that
Whoa.
again. 38% are not.
38.9% of U.S. small businesses remain closed post-pandemic era.
Oh my gosh.
In the beginning, a lot of them, you're telling a restaurant you can only open up 25% capacity or 50% capacity, but you're also telling them out of the other side of your mouth, if you want to get government loans through the PPP program, you've got to use 75% of the funds for employees. And you're like, as a small business owner, you're like, well, which is it? I'm not allowed to increase my employment beyond 50% capacity if I'm Joe Q restaurant owner, but 75% of the loans have to be earmarked for labor. No go. So as a result, we've got the biggest companies getting bigger and bigger and bigger because Chipotle or Bank of America or Amazon, God help us, they can all afford to pay up, but they know they're paying up for a finite period of time. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, you're sticking it to small business owners who cannot compete. So,
how much common sense does it take to know that that's not a good strategy? I just looked at it right now. I'm going to send you the story.
47.3%
That's
of
insane.
companies
It's
in
a
America
Yahoo article from a couple days ago.
are small businesses.
Yeah.
47.3. And do we really want to wake up tomorrow and be like big box retailer monopoly America with no culture, no soul? So that's the thing. Look, I started off. Now hold your horses. I started off at Little Caesars Pizza.
Pizza.
But there was a starting job, and I was a teenager. Right now, teenagers are having the best summer since 2008 because they're paying teenagers $18 an hour. They're like, I can do this for 3 months asleep. Are you kidding me? So they're taking these entry-level jobs, teenagers, and we're seeing, and that's fantastic because you know what we need. We need a new generation of kids who understands that they need to work and not dictate the terms of employment to their employers, which we're seeing a lot of right now because employees have negotiating power because there's still so many people who are on the sidelines. So talk to me after Labor Day when all of this goes away.
Is there anything you're speculating on what you foresee happening? Or is it all like, I don't know until I see what happens?
Well, there is a flip
Kai,
side to
can
the
you go
argument.
back to that, please? Go back to that article,
mean,
please.
we-
Right there, 38.9.
Yeah,
The data from the
well,
Opportunity
40%.
Insights.
Thank you.
Small business shutdown pandemic, nearly 40% of the data from Opportunity Insight shows that 38.9 small businesses were closed
Yep.
as of June 2nd.
Yep.
That's insane to me to be thinking about that.
How? Okay, you're Joe Q small business. How are you competing with Amazon? You don't have $1,000 signing bonus. You don't.
The data compiled by Small Business Marketing Service Womply is based on credit and debit card transactions. A business was marked as closed if there was no transactions for 3 consecutive days. Beginning March 1st, businesses that conducted all their, I mean, that's a good way of doing it. I mean, if you're
Yeah.
not getting any credit
You're not
cards,
getting any revenue, then you're not open. I
Yeah.
mean-
So here's my question: if this is 40%, 38.9, whatever, across the board, across the USA,
That is the United States of
Okay,
America.
so in Florida, we've been open the whole time. Like, are there any?
You have to realize that the last year and a half, you've lived in 2 states who did
Yes.
it right, Texas
Yes.
and Florida. So
Yes.
you don't know any other.
So
Yes.
my point is this:
And
if
our
that's
schools were open, so our labor pools were not as depleted because we didn't force the moms onto the sidelines.
Right.
Like the teacher union cities, Chicago and LA and New York. So you've got a couple million women out of the workforce as well who are also going to feed back into the labor pool after schools reopen in the fall. They're finally going to be able to go back to work because they're not going to be controlled effectively by teachers unions who do not advocate, by the way, for kids. They advocate for themselves. Well, it's not safe get a vaccination, shut up and get in the classroom and teach. Or find a different profession. But don't hold the moms of this country hostage.
By the way, just a crazy thing on what happened the last podcast. So the last podcast 2 days ago, whatever it was, was it Tuesday or was it Monday? Monday that we did, we showed Cole Beasley's tweet, okay, on why his opinions on vaccine. I won't even get into it. So Cole Beasley's tweet we read. We put the
Cole Beasley.
Cole Beasley,
Gotcha.
the football player,
Yeah,
that he
yeah,
said
yeah,
what he
yeah.
said about vaccine. We put his tweet up on short clips, Vitamin short clips. Within a few hours, it was taken down and the channel got a strike, and our Vitamin short clips channel suspended for 1 week. Just because we read his tweet. We read his tweet. We read his tweet, and I said,
That's-
my dad got the shot, my nanny got the shot, Melva, Pops. We talk about the tweet, it was taken down.
What's
Look,
the lesson there?
Well, look, this should not be censorship USA. Come on.
This is.
But it is.
But the point is, that's a little too much, buddy.
I
mean,
agree.
You can't even have an opinion to say, we're talking to Phil Heath, bodybuilder. Tell me what you think about this. We're talking with Gerard. We're talking with Tom. Basic conversation. So it's.
I mean, we're allowed to be a self-directed nation. But by the same token, if you're an employer, you're also allowed to dictate the terms of employment. So there are two huge sides to this argument right now. But we have liberty. We can do whatever we want. If we don't want to get vaccinated,
Yeah.
fine. We're not vaccinated. If our employer says we have to get vaccinated, and you want to keep working for them, get vaccinated. It's a pretty black and white decision.
It is a pretty black and white decision, but it doesn't seem like it's a decision that you can have an opposing argument to. That's what's a challenge right now. It seems like it's a decision that you either agree with us or you don't, or else. You know, it's not like, hey, you got a second opinion. Do you want to get first doctor is right, and this is what you better do, or else. It's a little. By the way, to be honest with you, if you think about it long term, think about the ramifications of that long term. That is a pretty annoying place to live. If you can't have an opposing idea, what a place to live. So if you enjoyed this little short segment from the podcast that we did, here's another short segment to watch. Or if you want to see the entire podcast, click over here. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.